Hello, my friends. I hope your walk is light. This is going to be one of my last real talks. Now, don't worry, the old videos will stay up, but memberships are going to come offline, and I'm just going to let them be out there. Now, I want you to understand why this will be one of the last ones, for me at least. It's not about views. If even one of you gets something from this, that's enough. It's because I finally arrived at what I think the original YHS came to, or at least something damn near close. It's that, well, it's turtles all the way down. And I've kind of always known this. I've even said it in some of the videos. But there's knowing something intellectually, and then there's having it hit you so hard in a conversation with a close friend that you can't deny it anymore. You can't keep pretending there's solid ground somewhere. Because when you see that, you stop chasing and you stop providing things that make others chase. And I believe that's what he did. And I believe that's what I have to do now. Some of you will listen. Some of you won't. Some of you will be glad I'm gone. Some might not be. But realize this, the next 30 minutes encompasses everything the original YHS was trying to tell you the whole time. Everything we've been trying to continue on our end. I thank you for being a part of something I was a part of, because in the end, I still believe that matters. A friend and I spent a couple of hours, well, if not the whole day last week, trying to figure out what the hell any of this means. Not in the casual, late night joking around, blah, 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 it's all a dream. I mean, really trying to answer it. Like, it was time to dig in. Both being spiritual, both kind of having the same path. Said, well, I said to her, where'd you come to? And she said, I don't think it's good news. And she asked me, what did I come to? And I said, well, I think it's all just beautiful. The experience. So we wanted to talk about really trying to answer what this all means. And so we went through all the things that people offer to what it means. Why we're here, what we're supposed to do, whether suffering is just baked into the whole thing or if it's, something that we can all escape from, a way out. We started with something that we both enjoy, Alan Watts. It's an ocean metaphor that Alan Watts made really famous. He said, we didn't come into this world. We come out of it, like waves from the ocean. Every individual is just the universe doing what it does, the same way that the ocean waves. You're not supposed to separate any of this. You're an expression of the whole thing, is what he was trying to say. It's a beautiful idea, and it makes perfect sense. Except many of you, probably just like me, feel locked in here behind the eyes, making decisions, dealing with consequences, trying to figure out what's true and what's just, well, more bullshit. So we both agreed to keep digging. We talked a lot about suffering, about whether life is inherently designed to hurt, or if it's just our interpretation as humans. Woe is me. We ran through every framework: nihilism, absurdism, Eastern philosophy, Western existentialism, religious explanations, each one offering an answer, each one falling apart under strong enough pressure from our questioning. That's when the turtle thing came up. There's an old philosophical joke, and I bring it up in a lot of the real talks about it's turtles all the way down. And the old joke is, there's a mystic, and some student asks him, hey, what's the world resting on? And he said it rests on the back of a great turtle. And that one, the student says. And then finally, the mystic looks at him like, what part of this aren't you understanding? It's turtles all the way down. And that's what we realized with everything that we were talking about. We realized every answer was just another turtle. Every explanation for that answer, every system, every this is what it all means was just another layer of interpretation sitting on top of more interpretation. Opinions on top of opinions. Even science, our best tool for cutting through the bullshit, is just methodology, a framework, another interpretation. It's just another way of arranging the turtles. And here's where it started to really get weird. I said something I didn't fully understand until I heard myself say it. None of it matters, not even what I think matters to me. It's all just turtles. Now, if you've ever listened to any of my videos, you know that I've said in a lot of them that if none of it really matters, I'm going to just keep doing what I do because that's what matters to me. So I can try to continue being a good person, whatever that means, or you can continue being a bad person, whatever that means. But that's what you're going to do because it's all you know. So I used to say that a lot. I'm not going to really say it as much anymore because none of it matters, not even what I think matters to me, means that even by me thinking that it matters to me, it doesn't, because it's just another turtle. Now, if you understand what I just said, then you are awake. So I'm not really explaining this, right? Like, we spent hours, but every minute felt like hours, okay, when we were talking about all this. You know, she stopped and she said something that's been echoing in my head ever since. She said, that might be the only authentic position left. Not because it's noble or correct, but because it's all you have. Your gut, your instincts, your sense of what matters. Even if it's all an illusion, even if it's all just turtles, even if you're wrong about everything, including being wrong, it's still your experience of the turtles. And from that, something clicked. I thought about Brahman waking from his dream. Because if it's all turtles, if there's no ultimate grounding, no cosmic authority, no final answer, then every system built on the idea that there is a ground becomes just an opinion, a preference, a story someone is selling and telling. Every institution claiming to know what you should do, every ideology insisting it has the answers, every authority figure demanding compliance, every guilt mechanism installed in your head telling you you're not good enough, not pure enough, not doing it right. All of it is just more turtles. And if that's true, then the only thing that's actually real is this: what you choose to do with your experience anyway. Not because it's cosmically correct, not because some authority figure approved it, not because it'll get you saved or enlightened or validated, but because it's what you choose when you stop waiting for permission from the universe. Here's what I mean. Even if someone proved to me with absolute certainty that none of this is real, that I'm just a brain in a vat, or living in a simulation, or that consciousness is just neurons firing randomly, I'd still keep doing what feels right to me in the experience. Not because I'd be fooling myself, but because what else would I do? And listen, that's not nihilism. Nihilism says nothing matters, so why bother? This is different. This is, I know it's all turtles, and I'm choosing to act anyway. Not despite that knowledge, but because of that knowledge. And if you think about that, the ocean metaphor from Alan Watts comes back. Because Watts said we're waves, thinking we're separate from the ocean. But here's what he didn't quite say explicitly enough. The ocean doesn't know it's the ocean. It just is. The wave doesn't need the ocean's permission to wave. It doesn't need to understand the chemistry of water or the physics of motion. It just does what waves do. And maybe that's what consciousness is. The experience of riding turtles while knowing they're turtles. The experience of being the ocean, temporarily believing it's a wave. Choosing to act as if the wave matters, even while knowing it's all one movement. My friends, you could spend your whole life trying to figure out which turtle is the real one, which system has the answers, which authority knows the truth, which philosophy will finally make it all make sense. And I did that. Or you can just stop. Stop waiting. If you're still with me this long in, then I'll keep going. Do you remember The Matrix? There's a scene in The Matrix where Neo's sitting, I think, in the Oracle's waiting room. And there's this kid in, like monk robes, looking like a Buddha. He was bending spoons with his mind. Neo picks up one, tries to bend it, nothing. The kid looks at him and says, "Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth." Neo's like, "What truth?" Kid says, "There is no spoon." Neo says, "There is no spoon." And the kid says, "Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself." Now, like you, I probably said, "I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool." Mind over matter stuff, simulation mechanics. But when I saw it again recently, after this talk, I thought about that part and I realized it blends. Because when I first saw that movie, of course, it went right over my head. I didn't think much of it. It's mind over matter, simulation mechanics. It has to be that way. But that kid wasn't talking about the Matrix at all. He was talking about this. Exactly this thing that I'm discussing with you now and that I discuss with my friends and I've discussed with my higher self billions of times. But never got it all. The spoon is every limitation you think is external. Every rule you think is carved in stone. Every you can't or you shouldn't or that's just how it is that you've been treating like physical law. We spend our entire lives trying to bend the spoon, trying to overcome the obstacle, fight the system, break through the limitations. But it doesn't work because we're all still treating the spoon like it's real. We're all still accepting the premise that there is something there to overcome. But what if there isn't? What if every cage we're in is made of belief? What if every limitation we're operating under is just a story that got repeated so many times it became calcified into truth? The bars of the cage are real because you think they're real. The spoon is solid because you've agreed it's solid. The system has power over you because you've consented to give it that power. And the moment you see that, really see it, not just understand it as a concept, the spoon bends. Or more accurately, you realize it was never there to begin with. Here's where this all gets deeper. Believe it or not, it gets deeper. The matrix spoon is just one person's illusion. But we're not talking about individual delusions. We're talking about collective construction. We built this cage together because we all agreed to the rules. We've been maintaining the illusion for so long that it feels like objective reality. Don't believe me? Think about money. It's paper. Or more accurately now, it's numbers in a database. The only reason it has power is because we collectively agreed that it does. The only reason you need it is because everyone else treats it as necessary. But it's a spoon. A very elaborate, globally coordinated spoon. But still, a construct. Or how about laws? Rules written by people, enforced by people, changed by people when they decide that it best suits them, but treated like they're handed down from on high, some divine immutable status. Until suddenly, they're not. And we're confused about how we ever accepted them in the first place. You ever wonder why you sit at a red light for 5 minutes when there's no traffic coming from either way, but if you go through that light, you'll get a ticket? But if you do the same thing at a stop sign, you're fine? How about morality systems? Guilt mechanisms. The entire apparatus of should and shouldn't that runs in your head telling you whether you're good or bad, worthy or unworthy, saved or damned. None of it is natural law. All of it is installed programming. Programming running on your software. And the really crazy part, once you see that these are all spoons, that they only have the power we collectively grant them, you start seeing them everywhere. Every that's just how things work is a spoon. Every you can't fight the system is a spoon. Every who am I going to question this is you agreeing that the spoon is real. Here's one of the hardest parts of the realization that we both had, and why most people who get to this point, whether through themselves or with a friend, usually bounce off of it when they glimpse what we're about to talk about. When you realize there is no spoon, you also realize that there's no one to blame. No external force keeping you trapped. No conspiracy, no elites, no cosmic principle, no UFOs, just you and other 9 billion people collectively maintaining an illusion because we forgot it was an illusion. It is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself. You're the one treating the limitation as real. You're the one accepting the premise. You're the one waiting for permission, checking if it's allowed, asking if you're doing it right. And every time you do that, you're bending yourself to fit the shape of a spoon that doesn't exist. And listen, I'm not trying to say give you victim blaming or anything, because I'm not saying that. It's actually the opposite. Because if the cage is constructed, if you've been bending yourself around non-existent spoons, then you can stop right now, knowing this. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need to wait for the system to change. You don't need a revolution or a spiritual awakening or the right set of circumstances. You just need to stop treating the spoon like it's there. I'm thinking, you're thinking, hey, this is all a great metaphor, but I've got bills to pay. I live in the actual world with actual consequences. I can't just sit here and worry about spoons. Fair, and I get it. And that's why 90% of the people that stopped watching this 10 minutes ago stopped watching it. But that's you treating the spoon like it's real again. It's like reading a book and ending it and going, wow, I accept everything in this book. And then literally a couple days later, you can't remember anything from the last 5 pages of it. It's basically you going back to the spoon again. Now, listen, I get it. There are consequences. You know, other people, whether you don't believe in the spoon anymore, other people are going to still believe the spoon is there. And you have to navigate that. But recognizing the spoon doesn't exist isn't the same as pretending away practical reality. They're two separate things. It's recognizing that the authority the spoon has over you is constructed, not inherent. That's the gift. Example, you stay in a job you hate because you need the money. The money is necessary because you have bills. The bills exist because you have agreements. The agreements exist because, well, at some point you made them, or inherited them, or accepted them as it's going to happen. But it's not always one of those situations where, oh, it's going to happen. They're choices you made based on what seemed possible at the time. Given the rules, you thought they were real. And maybe those choices still make sense. Maybe you look at it clearly and decide, yes, this is the path. But that's different from feeling trapped. That's choosing, not bending to a spoon. Here's another one. You don't speak up about something that matters to you because you're worried about how it will be received. Worried you'll be judged or canceled or dismissed. Well, that worry is treating social approval like it's oxygen. Like you're going to die without it. But you won't. The worst that happens is some people disagree with you. The spoon is the idea that you need everyone's approval to exist. You don't. Every time you hold back from doing what feels right because you're waiting for certainty, that's you treating the turtles like they're solid ground. Every time you defer to external authority because they claim to know better, that's you forgetting that their turtle isn't any more real than your turtle. Every time guilt fires in your system and you automatically obey it, that's you bending yourself around a spoon someone else installed. So what's the way out? The way out isn't finding the right turtle. We discussed that. Like, are you supposed, if you don't accept that it's all turtles, or say that you think you accept that it's all turtles all the way down, but you're looking for one turtle that may be the answers, that makes no sense of your you're opposite of what you agreed to. So trying to find the answer to the answer to the answer to keep on going on this talk, on this conversation would be pointless. Because there's no right turtle. It's not discovering which system is actually true or what philosophy finally has the answer. It's not even about bending the spoon through force or will or positive thinking or manifestation or any other technique that still accepts the premise that there's something here to bend. Maybe the way out is recognizing that you've been free the whole time. But because you were so focused on the spoon or chasing turtles, you just couldn't see it. That means every cage you're in, you built yourself. Or more accurately, you agreed to build collectively over time, and you keep maintaining because everyone else is still hammering it in the nails. Every limitation you're operating under is a turtle you're treating like ground. Every spoon is just an agreement you keep honoring because you forgot it was voluntary. And the moment you see that, really see that, not just understand it intellectually, you stop waiting for permission. You stop needing validation. You stop asking if you're doing it right by somebody else's standard. You don't become you don't become some enlightened being floating around above it all. You're still here, still dealing with the same reality everyone else is trying to navigate. But the relationship to that reality shifts. You're no longer at the mercy of the rules you didn't write and probably don't even believe in. You're no longer trapped by systems that only have power because we give it to them. You just do what's in front of you, based on what feels true right now, knowing full well it might all be an illusion, but choosing to act anyway. Not because it matters in some cosmic sense, but because you're still here, still conscious, still experiencing. And that experience itself, that's the only thing that's real. And here's something that will really bend your brain when you're ready to sit with this. Even this realization, this whole there is no spoon insight that I brought into the conversation, it's just another turtle. It's another framework, another way of arranging reality that feels true until you find the next thing that just basically unravels it. And that's okay, because the point isn't to find the final answer. The point is to stop treating any answer as final, to hold your frameworks lightly, to use maps without mistaking them for territory, to choose based on what's true for you in this moment, knowing it might change tomorrow and not needing it to be cosmically validated. The spoon doesn't exist. The turtles go all the way down. The wave is the ocean, and somehow, knowing all of that, you still get up in the morning and make choices about what to do next. That's not cowardness. That's not ignorance. That's not delusion. That's freedom. My friends, this will be one of my last messages. And this is what I'm trying to pass on with this one. If only one of you see it or hear it. You don't need permission to live the way you want to live. You never did. Every limitation you're bending yourself around is maintained by belief, yours and everyone else's. And the moment you see that, the moment you really see it, the cage door opens. Not because the door wasn't real, but because you realize you've been holding the key the entire time and just forgot how to use it. The spoon is whatever you've been treating as immovable, unchangeable, just the way things are. And it's not. None of it is. It's all turtles. It's all agreements. It's all constructed. And once you see that, you're not trapped anymore. You're just choosing. And there's all the difference in the world between those two states when you think about it. Everything else, just turtles, brothers and sisters, all the way down. I love you all. Walk in light.